month and other speakers. I've been coming here earlier, and with my experience as an instructor, flying instructor and commandant of the National Defence College, I can vouch for this institute. I can say, especially to the parents, that your children are in safe hands. They will be guided. It will keep going around and round. You will keep going round and round till you crash. So you must have. It will be like a ship without the captain. It can keep going around the world across all seas, but ultimately it will drown. So you must have a vision, and this is the time for you all to set that vision for the purpose of your life. Have you all heard of Dr. Martin Luther King? How many years? Okay, Google it today and see. Okay? He was a civil rights activist in the US who fought for the rights of the black. Economic rights, their civil rights, against the racism. And you must listen to his 1983 speech, I Have a Dream. You will change if you listen to that carefully. Okay? So you must have a dream and enjoy that dream. What he said, you must be passionate about your dream. Unless you are passionate about your dream, you will not succeed, as I said earlier. For that, you need to acquire knowledge. And this is the place to acquire knowledge. There are so many of the faculty members here to support you in acquiring the knowledge. You need to work hard. Unless you work hard, you will not achieve anything. This has been taught to us from our childhood. You must have a never die spirit. You must have that spirit to achieve your result or the goal. Somebody says impossible, I hear possible. Impossible doesn't exist in my dictionary. Whenever somebody says can't be done, he says can be done. Whenever somebody says no, he understands it as yes. He says if it can't be done, I should be the one who must do it and prove that it can be done. That is the type of spirit you must have. Okay? Now, you all must be wondering what's this Air Force officer doing here among the computer experts or would-be computer experts. He is not a computer qualified man, he is not a PhD. I am a 12th class pass boy, by the way. Because I move in your own organization and work in silos in today's changing world, what you said, a dynamic world, and feel that you will achieve your aims. We need to interact. We need to meet people from other organizations and learn best practices from them. Even we in the armed forces cannot afford to remain aloof, cannot remain cocooned in our field of fighting. We need to learn from you youngsters. We only need to learn the technology from you all. We need to learn the new ideas from you all. So there is always a need, and that is why maybe he invited me and I am here today. So when he said that I need to speak to you, I was wondering what to speak. But before that, it's around 12 o'clock now. I think we need to wake up. Some of us feel sleepy like me. 11:30. So let me start my main lecture by saluting you all the youth, and please join me in saying loudly, Jai Hind! Jai Hind! How's the Josh? Jai Hind! How's the Josh? Jai Hind! How's the Josh? Jai Hind! Look at this. Somebody says, continuing with Jai Hind. That means you're not listening. Okay, awake? Good. So while thinking of a theme, main theme of my topic, I was reminded of Brigadier General Robin Olds, how he described a pilot. Okay, he was an ace pilot from US Air Force. Ace pilot means he's shot on line. In fact, he has got to study 17 enemy aircraft he shot down in World War II and the Vietnam War. And this is how he describes a fighter pilot. Being a pilot is an attitude. Mark each word. Is an attitude. It is cockiness. It is aggressiveness. It is self-confidence. It is a streak of rebelliousness and competitiveness. In today's world, just think in the competitive world, globalized world, interconnected world, what we call a global village. All this is required for you. And he also says, but there is something else also. There is a spark in you. There is a desire to be good amongst and do well amongst his own peers, do well in his own mind. All the time he wants to do better and better and better. Does it ring bells for you all? Would you like to be like that? That is why I put this for you. Okay? So, what I am trying to do is, in short, give you a real-life account of courage, valor, skillful handling of the machine, self-sacrifice made by an Air Force combat pilot in defense of the country. And once we understand what he did, we'll try and draw lessons from it. Draw parallel with your requirements in this world and how it would help you in this modern complex world of 21st century. Before I come to the main, a few things I must explain to you so that you have a better understanding. What is an aerial combat? Aerial combat is a duel, it's a combat between two or more aircraft. Okay? It requires skills to continuously maneuver your aircraft and get behind the enemy aircraft and shoot him down. It's very, very simple in definition only. Okay? You need to come behind him and fire. I am showing primitive aircraft pictures here only because I have got an incident from 1971. The pilot those days had to use the God-given gift of his eyes only, there were no radars, and scan the sky, look for enemy, track him, and then maneuver himself behind him, making sure nobody else comes behind him. Those days we had fixed guns on the aircraft. So that is why you need, in the picture I am trying to show, he had to maneuver behind him. Today you have a modern aircraft with missiles now. Okay? Those gun ranges were 200 to 250 meters. So he had to come that close behind him and fire. Okay? But today's modern 21st century aircraft are different. You have the air-to-air missiles, you have radars, you have fantastic avionics which you will be developing as an MCA. And therefore the skill required are different. I am trying to go a little fast. You want me to go slow? Please raise your hand. This is the story of one flying officer, Nirmaljeet Singh Sekho, of aerial combat of 1971, where he sacrificed his life defending Srinagar airfield. And he is the only Indian Air Force officer to be awarded a Paramveer Chakra for his bravery, indomitable spirit and supreme sacrifice. Nobody else has got a Paramveer Chakra in the Indian Air Force. A little background, 1970 there was an election in Bangladesh, then East Pakistan, in the Pakistan and East Pakistan actually got the majority, which was not acceptable to West Pakistan. They refused to accept the country being run from East Pakistan. When East Pakistan demanded their own self-rule, the military moved in and massacred tens of thousands of intellectuals and people. Colleges were empty and into the field and shot. The entire country was running away towards India. We had almost 10 million refugees coming to India. It created chaos not only in India, but in the entire region. And they knew something will be done. So they preempted us and attacked India on 3rd December along the western coast. From Srinagar down south, all the airfields were attacked. We also retaliated some 4,000 missions, 4,000 missions in the west and 2,000 missions in the east were blown. Who was Sekho? Sekho was a young 28-year-old boy, son of an ex-Air Force officer, commissioned in 1967, just about 4.5 years service. An outstanding pilot, rustic, energetic. Everybody used to call him brother because that gentleman would always use the word brother in every sentence. Brother, let's go, let's have a drink, let's go to Dhaba, brother. So everybody started calling him brother. I am sure in the last few days or few hours that you met, you must have decided nicknames for each other. And that stays with you. Okay? Type of aircraft, Sekho used to fly 9. It was a small little aircraft, the top picture. Okay? Primitive. Very, very primitive aircraft. Compared to today's Mirages, Su-30s and others. Now the Rafale is coming. Pakistan had far better superior aircraft, N7. Okay? That advantage was that it was such a small aircraft that you could maneuver it and get behind the enemy if you had the skills to do it. That is always important. You must have the skills to do it. Remember that. Okay? Situation was different in Kashmir that time because of certain international agreements. The aircraft and radars were not allowed to be positioned there. So when these pilots, the squadron moved in for preparation for the war, they were not used to the terrain. So that an altitude, valleys, different terrain, they were unacclimatized to the high altitudes. Remember your body, how many of you are mountaineers? Anybody been to Leh Ladakh region? None. As you go up, the atmosphere is, you encounter rarefied atmosphere, less oxygen. So your body needs to get used to that, you need to get acclimatized. So these pilots were not yet acclimatized. And of course, being December, they were suddenly exposed to the serious winters of J&K, of Srinagar. So this was also a hindrance there. The squadron was deployed in the valley. Brother's only problem was that he was worried war would end before he shoots down a Paki aircraft. Brother will every evening say this, every time keep saying, war khatam ho jayega. I need. That was the type of josh he had. On 14th December, brother and another officer, Roman, were placed on scramble duty. Now scramble duty is, anybody knows? Scramble duty, you are ready to take off urgently, as soon as possible. And there are 3 stages of scramble. 15 minutes, you are sitting in your crew room, aircraft is ready, position men are there. So you should be airborne, set up a cap overhead in 15 minutes. 5 minutes, you are sitting next to the aircraft, so that within 5 minutes you get one. And the last stage is 2 minutes, we are sitting strapped in the aircraft, back in the tag, everything, just punch the button and go and take off. Airborne in 2 minutes. So they were on scramble duties when on 14th December 1971, Pakistan decided to attack Srinagar. 6 Sabre aircraft took off from Peshawar, intruded into the Indian territory, through the valleys, under the fog, winter fog, you know how the morning winter fog come up in the valleys, sneaked close to, look at the map, can you make up the map? Sneaked close, here, this way, these are the Pir Panjal hills. They crossed. Aim was to cross over, turn left, northwards, attack Srinagar and get back. Excellent plan. They were led by Wing Commander Chengazi, who was a 1965 war veteran, a very, very experienced fighter pilot, along with others. So this was what was happening when they were on scramble duty. When Srinagar was informed, there were no radars positioned those days, if I remember. We had men sitting on top of the hills. Early morning they used to go, 4 o'clock, sit on the hills, look through binoculars. If you hear an aircraft going somewhere around, you report to your base. Those were different days. So, scramble was ordered and woman took off. See the right top aircraft and top picture? Sitting in the tent for a 5-minute takeoff. They are running towards the aircraft. Okay, you have to get airborne within 5 minutes. Woman took off, and while woman was taking off, 2 sabers were getting into dive to attack the runway. Basic aim of any such attack is to destroy the runway so that it takes 24-48 hours to repair it, so your aircraft are on ground. You can't retaliate. So when woman took off, thereafter, Seiko also started rolling. This is when the sabers started dropping their bombs. Lower picture on your left, on your right. Okay? This is the most dangerous period. Normally nobody would take off in such a situation because you are a sitting duck. You are starting from a 0 speed to your takeoff speed on the runway. Nice target for any airborne aircraft. But he still continued, took off and got behind these aircraft. And what followed thereafter was a fascinating air battle at treetop levels. Foggy within the valley, restricted space in the valley, that is what happened. As soon as woman took off, he saw the 2 sabers overshooting their airspeed. And he yelled at woman, sabers overshooting, I am getting behind. And this is when Chengazi saw woman, brother getting behind them, and he yelled to his people, nag behind, all punch tanks, get away. Those 2 aircraft punch their tanks and started. Punch their tanks means remove external loads, creates hindrance in accelerating speed, getting the more maximum speed. So they punched their tanks and started accelerating, but brother didn't leave him. There were 4 aircraft and he alone now. Continued behind them despite superiority in numbers, superiority in the type of aircraft. He continued behind him, kept firing and hit one saber. It was seen with smoke trailing going away towards Pakistan. The 3rd saber, there were 4 if you remember plus 2 escorting them. The 3rd saber joined the combat. Again he was outnumbered. Okay? The 3rd saber got behind him, kept firing, but unfortunately for him, and fortunately for brother, and his expertise in flying, couldn't get him. And ultimately he yelled out Winchester. Winchester is the worst situation you can have, where you finish all your ammunition trying to hit the enemy. Again Chengazi came on guard. He says, get away. He's telling his man to get away from there, your Winchester, you finished your ammunition. That chap got away. Woman continued behind the 2nd aircraft, which was I had overshot him, continued and finally got him, and that aircraft was also seen going away towards Pakistan with the trail of smoke behind him. So he had got 2 of them. 1 aircraft among 4. Unfortunately, this is the time when woman had lost contact with them and he couldn't join them. So it was most of the battle, not was all the battle. Entire battle was between 1 and 4 plus 2, 6 aircraft. This is when he turned hard, trying to get behind Chengazi, and Chengazi yelled to his escorts for help. The escorts were floating around on top. Remember, escorts are not heavily loaded with arms and ammunition. Because they're supposed to fight the enemy who disperse or who disrupts the strike aircraft loaded with bombs. The escorts came in, one of them got behind Seiko, fired, and ultimately Seiko got hit. He was seen going into the hills, towards the hills, and crashing. Later on, when the rescue party went there, they didn't find Seiko in the aircraft. In fact, his ejection seat was missing. He seemed to have ejected, but the heights were so low that the parachute didn't deploy and we lost it. An inspection of the aircraft revealed 37 bullet hits on the aircraft. That is the type of mission he flew. This is a story of Seiko. But the best part is, even the enemy appreciated. When Chingazi became Air Commodore and retired as an Air Commodore, he wrote a book on the 1971 war. And he dedicated a chapter for Seiko in his book, where he wrote, he praised Seiko for his superior flying skills, for the gallant action of taking off. He said, I wouldn't have taken off. For taking off when the airfield was under attack and taking on 4+2 sabers all alone and shooting down 2 Pakistani aircraft before going down. So when the enemy praises you, that is the best thing that can happen. Now let's come to the crux of it. Like I said, we need to look at the lessons from each other's fields and try and imbibe them. Okay? We need to look at best practices from each other. Okay? Learning is critical in any profession. I need to learn from the world. The first lesson I would say is the motivation. Remember I said, he said war would end without me shooting down the aircraft. So the first lesson I would place is motivation. That he had that fire in his belly to do something. Does it ring well for you all? Should you have that fire in your belly to achieve something in your life, do something which your parents will be proud of, your institute will be proud of, you yourself will be proud of. So the first lesson I will always do. But then the issue comes up is, how do you motivate a person to sacrifice his life? I can motivate you to work hard. I can motivate you to work 24 hours. I can motivate you to do anything. But how do I motivate you to go in the face of the enemy and sacrifice your life willingly? That is achieved through training and training and training. In the armed forces, training is 2 steps. 1, extensive physical and mental tests prior to training. Then only you are selected for the training. Second, of course, is prolonged, competitive, but yet exciting training. It needs to be exciting. It must bring out the best in you, and you must be motivated enough to do better than others. These are the major factors which are required to motivate a person, and it was borne out by the fact that just 4.5 years of service against a war veteran. Okay, all the steps that I told you. Would you like to train like this in this institute? Think of that. You've been selected now. That first part is over. Now you need to learn to gain the tools to do better in your service wherever you go. Knowledge of enemy aircraft capability. It is important that you know your own strengths and the enemy's strength. The type of aircraft, the load it can carry, its performance, the war-fighting philosophy of the enemy, and then you plan your own training accordingly. For you, it's not enemy, it's your competitor. Am I right? Should you know what are the policies and how does your competitor function? What are the best practices of theirs? You should have the knowledge of what's happening in your field around in the world. All of it. Today your competitors are not in Ghaziabad, not in India, they are across the world. So you should know what's happening. Okay? Next is situational awareness. He had to be aware of the entire situation in the air with 4 aircraft he alone. If he is trying to go behind one, there is one more trying to come behind him, or trying to support them. Okay? So you should be, situational awareness was 100% that time, maybe 101. It may be a ploy to take you in a particular direction whether somebody else can come and fire it. So situational awareness is extremely important. Is it valid for you in today's 21st century environment? A tanker gets arrested. I would use the word arrested because that's what happened recently in Iran. Okay, affects you in India, your oil prices go up. Afghanistan, they are trying to find a solution, affects you here. Hong Kong, every weekend for months you have this issue, the market going down, affects you here. Should you have the situational awareness? Should you read the newspapers? Should you listen to the news? Should you understand what is happening around you? It's important. So use it to your own organization, your own field. These inputs that I am trying to do. This decision-making ability. You need to have the decision-making ability. You need to have the confidence. Was his leader. He could have told his woman, sir, मैं अकेला हूं. No, he took that decision, and he was allowed to take that decision. It's valid for you. Would you let your team members take a decision, or you would like to be keeping an entire thing under your control and not let anybody else take decision? Would you permit him to use his mind, and even if he loses something, you still permit him so that he gains confidence? You need to think of this. Next is concentration. For those 10 minutes is one individual trying to understand the situation, know the entire enemy positions in a dynamic situation, and taking on 2 aircraft before being shot down. What concentration it was. Do you need that in your life, in every aspect of your life? Okay. Trust. Trust is extremely important. In a formation flying, when you go for attack, your leader, you trust is number 2 and 3 because they are looking after his tail. He can't see you 180 degrees behind. You trust your leader because he is taking you there. In the Indian Air Force, except for the 2 officers, the pilots have no offices. So that trust. Do you need to have this trust between you and your teams as you move on with your organization? Nowadays you go for what you call that? Team building trips. This is it enough? You need to have it. Persistence is key to success. He persisted with his attack, with his combat, even though he knew he will go down. He can't take on 6 aircraft. Communication. I just try and cut it. I can make out. Okay. Crisp, clear, unambiguous communication between them. Get this in time, get away. Winchester. Clear, absolutely clear. Escorts for help. There was no doubt between amongst anyone. Ability to take risks that must be developed, especially today when you go. Okay? So I just put few questions to you. Think of it. Answer in your time to this. The serious time constraints for the day. The first question I put with this as the background is, can facets of training of a fighter pilot be applied to operations in the corporate world? Yes? No? Sleepy. How can training in the corporate sector be modified for severe competition and disruptive scenario of the sector? I'm sure corporate doesn't want to spend money on training for us, as we spend. We train throughout your life. But then can you take something from us and invest? The black ocean is what I had said earlier. Does the fast-paced and ever-changing business process, technological development and disruptive environment that is brought out of the globalized world demand a high level of situational awareness amongst you all? Continuous monitoring of the situation. Is perseverance another factor that could be a deciding factor in success or otherwise? Is the ability to take quick and correct decisions, especially in the disruptive environment, a major contributor to success or failure of any business? Is communication with and between the teams important? Communication up and down the chain. Is taking risk important, or you want to be absolutely safe and go down like the ambassador car, Bajaj Chetak, Java ESD scooter? There are a number of examples available to us. Okay, so is taking risk important? Just think of these things, and these are just lessons that have been learned, motivations, situational awareness, there is one. I have once again, I'm cutting short, I once again say that there is tremendous amount of learning from each other. You should never hesitate in asking your superiors, anybody, any expert in any field for help, support. Use the time that has got here for 3 years to build your knowledge and go out and do the best. Thank you very much.